how to order. Welcome to the third regional open English debate competition. Participating this round are Sibunyano School on government and Prapathom Vidyalai School on opposition. Before the round begins, allow me to explain the rules of the debate. Each constructive speaker will be speaking for 5 minutes. After the first minute, you will hear one ring like this. Knowing that the speaker may be asked points of information. At the fourth minute, you will hear one ring like this. Knowing that the POI cannot be longer be met. At the fifth minute, you will hear two rings like this. To indicate that the speaker time's up. At 5:20, you will hear three rings like this. As a reminder for the speaker to conclude your speech, reply speeches last 3 minutes, and are protected speeches, hence no POI may be out. The motion on the floor is Rohingya refugee problem in ASEAN's collective problem. Without any further ado, I want to call on the Prime Minister to open the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to everyone. I'm the Prime Minister of the government side. Today's motion is, this House believes that Rohingya refers the problem is ASEAN's collective problem. The first thing I will tell you is to define Rohingya. We believe that originally they're from Burma. When war happened, the confusion of nations spread. So, whose land is this? So, no confirmation of whose nation of the Rohingya. Research don't have nation and traveling aloud and freely, wanting to settle down. ASEAN is from Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It's a group of 10 countries in Southeast Asia that organize from make these countries stronger. Collective problem is the Asian's problem as a whole, or problems of 10 nations. Moving on to the background of this problem. Rohingya are roaming around on only one ship and going around and around in our territory of ASEAN. So, today we will talk about my argument is justification, and for the second speaker of our side, we will talk about the human rights and why is a 10-nation problems. Why is that other problems? Why is that EU problems? So, moving on to the harms. The harm is other nations require us to have no human rights. They can blame us. They can be looked as bad because Rohingya have their human life. Because we see these people in our territory, so why don't help them? And if we let them in, so it can be cause the possible harm. It's like first example, it's like someone in the rooms is fart, and everyone in the rooms got the effect from this fart. So then ignorance that this and if someone come and fart, so if you let them come, it's not good. Okay, our model is you see these
as problems, and
Then, if we
acknowledge them, we should discuss for the solution.
my argument is, as I tell you before, is
Justification. Because Rohingya is invading in
the territory of us.
so as I speak in the harm, it can cause the possible crime, and
They have no nation.
and
If there are no nation, so no one can be blamed or no one can knock him out or anything.
so and the other thing is the national sovereignty.
We have the laws
To prevent
and to control the invading. So we cannot let them in. The Rohingya
have the human right to be recognized, and if you let them die or without the acknowledging, so they are, as I speak in the first speech, the other nation can blame us or can shame us. Example, if
someone
is going to die, and
we are ignoring them to do CPR and then they die. So everyone can blame us that why are you ignoring them, right? So this is all mine. Thank you.
The speaker spoke for 5 minutes. I thank the Prime Minister. And now, I'd like to recognize on the leader of opposition to open the opposition's case.
Good day, honorable judges. My name is Supawit Amnatalenporn. As a leader of opposition, I will define this motion and explain about the history of Rohingya. Then the deputy of opposition will give you some argument to disagree with the government. At the opposition web will conclude why Rohingya refugee problem is not ASEAN's collective problem. At first, I would like to clarify this motion. The word Rohingya refugee means the Muslim in Myanmar that try to migrate to the country in the ASEAN. And the word ASEAN's collective problem means the problem of all ASEAN countries. So this motion means the Muslim migrant problem is a problem of all ASEAN countries. The first thing I would like to say, I disagree with you, the government. Have you ever known that before the government, where are Rohingya from? I have learned before because I have finished history course of Dawang's tutorial school. Actually, the Rohingya live in Bangladesh and then they migrate to Myanmar. When Bangladesh, India, Pakistan and Myanmar were the England's colonies, everybody of England's colony can freely move to live in another country that are England colonies. Yes, the Muslim in Bangladesh moved to live in Myanmar more than 100 years ago. But when those countries are free from England, Rohingya never think about going back to Bangladesh. Not because they feel ashamed, but even Bangladesh doesn't welcome them as well. Now we know about Rohingya history, right? Because all of I said has not finished yet. Myanmarese people hate them too. Even though Rohingya live in Myanmar more than 100 years ago. But people of Myanmar didn't accept that Rohingya refugees were citizens of Myanmar. People of Myanmar conduct with Rohingya like a slave, cattle. Not only people, but also government of Myanmar. They remit light to Rohingya. For example, forbidding Rohingya not to claim state welfare, like school expenses, health expenses from public place. There are enough reasons, right, why Rohingya migrate to other countries and lead to Rohingya refugee problem like this motion. You didn't know anything about Rohingya refugee. I would like to strongly say that this problem is not ASEAN collective problems. You cannot conclude that it is all of ASEAN problem, ASEAN country problem. It's happened because Myanmar, since it was England's colonies. May I ask you, Philippines should be responsible too?
Sir. But we can see that there is harm coming from these refugees. So we can see that we should raise our awareness. It's a problem of every country because we should acknowledge it because ignorance kills everyone.
Okay. Do you think it's fair for Philippines? They didn't do anything. But, you know, EU, you know, England now leave EU because they have to responsible the thing that they didn't make, like help poor country to pay their budgets to help poor country. I think it's not fair for the country that didn't make this problem. Thailand too, maybe Thailand have to responsible this problem too but Thailand didn't make this problem. Why? I disagree. It's not ASEAN's collective problems. I would like to say again that I disagree with you that it's an ASEAN collective problem. Thank you.
The speaker spoke for 5 minutes, 12 seconds. I thank the leader of opposition. And now, would like to invite the Deputy Prime Minister.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, as a Deputy Prime Minister, I'm going to talk that our case is to acknowledge as ASEAN's problem. Okay. So that from the opposition said that is it fair for the Philippines, and that's why we have ASEAN. We have ASEAN because we want to discuss and get the best decision. It is not just blaming each other. Yes, and is a 10 nations problem. We are ASEAN. That's the problem. ASEAN should be come together. Is ASEAN proposed, isn't it? We are an association. Since one country can solve the problem, so that's why decision is needed. Our country is nearby. We have we can do like we can. If Rohingya will spread in the neighbor's country anyway, so would you want to be a country suffering to the problem alone? If ASEAN is like we is like a friends, and so if our friend is have a problem, so we going to like ignore them and make them solve again. So that's why we have ASEAN. We have to discuss. And 10 countries have a noble conversation of how to solve the problem, eliciting the awareness. And if we can't make a discussion or understanding each other about this problem, the conflict would start. And a consequent collateral damage if they commit crime.
If I want Rohingya refugee to stay with your family, you will willing to accept him and accept them. They didn't do anything. And you have to pay for them, give food to them, give residence for them.
Well, it doesn't mean we. My point is mean I'm going to like accept or not, but it means we have to help each other. It means we have to discuss together, not to be alone, solving the problem alone. Yes. And also I'm talking about the human right. That the human right to be recognized. They are people, so they have to be recognized. And it's like is a criminal in your village, and you have to tell the neighbors in your village to help each other, to beware, to discuss, to solve the problem. And that's the thing I said. And also, Rohingya would be the ASEAN problem definitely. Because it's not important where it starts is from Bangladesh or whatever, but the problem is still here in ASEAN. So that's why we have to discuss and help each other in ASEAN. Thank you.
The speaker spoke for 5 minutes, 4 seconds. I thank the Deputy Prime Minister. And now, I'd like to recognize the Deputy Leader of Opposition.
Good morning. I am Thamasorn Chernsi. I am a deputy of opposition. At first, the government said that they are from Rohingya refugee from Myanmar, but they are not officially from Myanmar. And they say why another country to not think about it. Oh, sorry. Why nation country to not think about it? Because it is not their responsibility. Everybody think that is Myanmar responsibility. So why they have to be responsible it to be their problem? It's so impossible that they will commit a crime because they don't have any nationality. Even religions, if they commit any type of crime, like
Are you assuming that if I have no nationality, then I will not do anything bad?
But you say no nationality, you mean Rohingya refugee come to Myanmar and they may make a crime. I agree with the leader of opposition. In this house believe that Rohingya refugee problem in ASEAN collective problem. As the leader of opposition said, Rohingya is Bangladesh that immigrated from India for a long time. Because India was occupied by England colony in the past, they have been lived in Myanmar for a long time before they immigrated from Myanmar to around in ASEAN countries. If you told the judge that is collective problem of ASEAN, but you forget something. Rohingya refugees should be reserved get Myanmar nationality because they was a part of Myanmar country. When Myanmar find them away like crazy disease, some of them that immigrate from Myanmar die in the sea poorly. Didn't get the food between migration. They're hungry. They're hopeless. They don't need to be adversely with anyone. They just want to have home. It's deserved with them. And this problem is Myanmar problem. That they have no mercy to help others like their human friends. Every human have human right to survive in this world. So lastly, this is my opinion about this motion. Thank you.
The speaker spoke for 3 minutes, 55 seconds. I thank the Deputy Leader of Opposition. And now, I'd like to invite Government Whip to conclude the government's case.
So opposition is basically saying that if someone will dump a trash into my house, I just need to ignore it until the person who dumped it, who probably just went away, will come back and collect it. That's what they're saying. But we see that is not the case, right? If the problem is right in front of us, we see that it can harm us, it can harm our neighbor country. So we need to solve it because now it's not only the Bangladesh problem or Burma's problem, but it's ASEAN problem because we can get affected. And if we don't want to get harmed, we better be aware because ignorance kills the cat. Now, what solution is pending for us to see is that, these Rohingya have human rights and, they're suffering in the sea. Well, we ask you, are you taking them in or not? I cannot see any clarification from your point. We can only see that they want Bangladesh and England to take them in. So, we can see that, let me analyze you a little. After the mini history class on that side, we see that our burden to prove is that we have to prove to you that ASEAN had to, acknowledge this problem and see Rohingya as a problem because it can harm us, and the burden of proof is to prove that it's not ASEAN problem at all. Which we can see the response coming out from that side is that it's Bangladesh's problem. Well, Bangladesh is away. We cannot call them back now, are we? So we need to solve it right now because they are causing us problem, Rohingya. And now they are painting a picture that Rohingya are actually not dangerous. But sir, having no nation doesn't mean you can do anything. Having no nation is actually more dangerous because when you do something bad, you have no nation to have responsible too. And you cannot sue or blame that nation. You can just blame the people. And now other people will be
you know, America, people pointing at you saying that you have no mercy, you have no human right, you are abusing this little human. But, you know, our country got affected and got this negative effect from Rohingya, and other people will be saying like, look at ASEAN, look at this country, they're not doing anything about it. So yes, it's our problem, the perception and the image of the country, that these 10 countries living here, and that's our safety. So let's move on to my clash point. On the outside, we see that discussion will get the best decision. Maybe if we come together, we can actually call Bangladesh or England back to take these Rohingya people back. But we see that on their side, well, they are just going to ignore it. Well, who's going to solve the problem? Let me ask you. We are here, so let's solve it, all right? Because we will get the consequence. If you don't want to get harmed, then solve it. On the second point, why this nation will get affected? Because there is possible harm that these Rohingya people can sneak in and can actually do something, bad to our nation. We cannot point them in the face saying that they are murderers right now because it would be a wild assumption. But there's this possibility that if some stranger show up in front of your home, you don't know what he will do. You may think that he's some kind of like the purge will try to kill you. So you got scared and you have to solve the problem by, resorting to your friend, getting your friend to help you. That is how we solve the problem in nowadays. This is how noble people hold conversation. So why is this a problem? Because firstly, other people will perceive our group, our countries of ASEAN as some kind of barbaric people that have no sense of human rights, that are not holding responsible for the things that are right in front of them. For example, if I'm running with my friend Mem, and my friend suddenly have heart attack, and I continue to ignore her, that would be my fault that she died right there, right? So people will see me as bad person now. America make a sanction to our country, seeing that we are barbaric, that we are not civilized enough to talk to them. You know what Americans are like. And also, other problem, like when they commit crime in our country, we cannot hold someone responsible for it. So now let's take a case under their side, shall we? We see that they want the Bangladesh and England people to pick them up. The first response to the point that it's not a problem. We see that we need to acknowledge it. When there's a problem, people will automatically acknowledge it. Like if tea farts, then everyone in the room can smell it, but you don't know who farted, right? But there is still the effect that they have. Now on the second response, to that side saying that, is it the Philippine fault? Well, this is not a blame game opposition, it's more like a shame game, because you are kicking people around, not letting them in, and now you are just ignoring them, not trying to solve the problem. Such a shame. Now, on the third point, Bangladesh, they left this discussion years ago, the long time when history class, and England, they already left the discussion. So right now, it's our problem, because we can see the problem right here, so we need to solve it. So, this is not like the research debate, so let's just not talk about our research, because I don't want this debate to be the truism, just trying to get, which research are right or wrong. We see that it's more about, are we going to trust this stranger or not? How are we going to cope with this problem? And we see that coming from some opposition, they're just going to ignore it, which is not the case. We see that on the our side, we are actually going to acknowledge this problem, discuss together, and that's how the work or the, good result is going to result or happen. That's why we are proud to propose. Thank you.
Speakers spoke for 5 minutes, 5 seconds. I thank the government bill. And now, I'd like to call on the opposition bill to conclude the opposition sketch.
As an opposition whip, I think I strongly disagree that it was a 10-country of ASEAN problem. It's totally not. According to the historical evidence that was so long ago, it's never ever been our problem so long ago that it was just like Rohingya refugee flood on the sea in ASEAN.